Hello guys, welcome back to the next tutorial. So in today's lecture, we're going to talk about something that we do pretty much in our everyday life. We're going to talk about conditional logic. And if you're wondering how are we utilizing conditional logic in everyday life, then I'm going to give you a quick good example. So it's pretty much exactly what we do every day, right? Let's say you're driving and you see green light. Then what do you decide? You decide to just go, right? And if you see a red light, you decide, okay, let's stop. If you see a yellow light, you decide yellow or orange. You decide, let's prepare to stop it. It'll just turn gray. It'll just turn red, right? So that's conditional logic. You are taking decisions based on the condition that's happening. So it's simply like that. That if the light is green, it's let's go. If it's red, stop it, right? So that's pretty simple thing. That's something that we do in everyday life. Similar to this, we do a lot of things like, right, if it's too hot, then turn on the AC, or if it's too cold, then turn on the heater and all those things, right? So it's just simple conditional logic. We do actions in our lives as well based on some condition, right? So let's bring up PyCharm, and I've created a file called conditional.py, and we'll just show those things how we define in Python language. So let's say if I'm gonna say, let's say something like that, if 100, so the syntax is like this. If is the conditional statement. If 100 is greater than 10, that's my statement, and it ends with a colon, not the semicolon, it's just a colon. Then I want to print something. I want to print 100 is greater than 10. That's it, right? So let's see what happens. And you guys see that it's really important in Python. We were not doing this till now because we haven't encountered anything like that, but it's really important in Python to keep track of the spaces. So when I hit enter after the if statement, this didn't go up here, right? There is an indent of 4 spaces, 1 2 3 and 4, sorry, 1 2 3 and 4. So there is an indent of 4 spaces for the if statement. So then only Python knows that this statement lies under the if condition. So it's really important to indent everything with 4 spaces, or adjust your tab. By default it's there in PyCharm, your tab is already 4 spaces. So if I hit backspace and hit tab, it's 4 spaces indentation. If you see, so basically it's any indentation. It's not like, so don't think that it's just 4 spaces particularly, but that's the convention. So that's PEP standard, but I can just do one space. So if I do 1 space, it's good. You can see up there, right? But you can see this error. It's not error, it's a warning message, kind of suggestion that indentation is not a multiple of 4. So they recommend that the indentation should be a multiple of 4. So, and it's good, right? Because one indentation space is not even clear. If you have a code of 100 lines, you will not be able to identify, because in Python we don't have any curly braces or anything. So we rely on indentation, the spaces. So we hit tab, it's 4 spaces, it's good. So if I'm gonna run this code, let's see what happens. Oh, it's still taking the old code, so let's change the configuration file. Control structure should now point to conditional.py. Okay, and hit OK. So run the code again, and it says 100 is greater than 10, right? That's great. So let's say if my condition is false. Let's say if I make the condition as false. So I make 100 is less than 10, which is a false condition, right? And let's run the code now. Nothing prints this time, right? So that's what I wanted to show you guys, that it works based on the conditional logic, and it verifies if the condition is correct. It goes ahead and executes the code that lies inside the if block. And how do we define the block? Any block after any code after the if statement which has an indentation is considered to be under if condition. And if I write more code here, let's say here print, and I can say it will always print. Why? because it's not under the if condition. It's not under if condition. It's not indented, right? So it's always gonna print. So let's run it. It says it will always print, right? Even though condition was false, this one is still printing. So that's something that we have to be very careful about, that about the indentation, that we have a proper indentation when we are working with the Python. Any conditional logic, or in future we'll learn about classes, methods, and all those things. Everywhere we have to be careful about the indentation. So that's what I wanted to show you guys. So let's take a couple of more examples, the example that I was talking about. So let's change it back to greater than, and let's work on the couple of examples. So let's define a condition called light, or maybe value, and let's give it green, right? So I have a value and it's called green. Now I can say if value equals to green, print go, right? We can say print go, and we have to put the colon, and it's good, right? So let's run this code, and since the value is green, it just prints go, right? So this is our if condition. So let's say if the value is not green, we can say this, right? If value is equals to red, then print stop, right? And right now stop is not gonna print because the value is green, and if I change it to red here, it's gonna print stop, right? It didn't print go. So that's what we were talking about when we talked about the condition. So it checks the condition and it only executes the code which is inside that particular block. So this code is inside the if block for this, and this code print stop is inside this code block, right? So it's only executing the code block under the if condition. So what if I don't want to say if every time? What else I can do? I can do something like this: if and then else. So else is exactly, it's kind of partner to if, you can say that. It's if the expression is true. So this is the expression, right? If the expression is true, this code block is gonna execute. Otherwise, if the expression is not true, if this is not executing, then it'll tell Python that execute whatever comes under else. So if I can say something like this: if the statement is not true, if the expression is not true, then print stop. So right now the value is green and we're checking for green, so it's gonna print go, and it's fine, right? This one is the value. And if I change the value to something else, let's say let's print it red, let's change it to red and run the code now. Right now it printed stop. So that's how it works, guys. They work in pairs. If else. It's not necessary to use else for every if condition, but that's how it works. But else will always come if there is an if condition, right? If can come individually as well. Alright, but there are more conditions in life, right, than just being green and red. In fact, in lights as well, there is one more, yellow light, right? So what do we do in those cases? So we have another keyword called elif, and it's basically nothing, but it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just the expression that we mention in elif that should be executed if the previous condition is not true. So if I say if value equals to let's say yellow, then print prepare to stop, something like that, right? So now what we are doing, guys, is just take a look. If the value is green, print go. Elif, which is else if, but that's how Python uses elif, the value is yellow. So basically the if condition is not true at this moment, right? So elif, the value is yellow, print prepare to stop. Else, so now it covers anything other than green and yellow. Anything else is there, it means just stop. I don't care, just stop. So let's change it to yellow this time. yellow, and let's run the code. And it says prepare to stop, right? So that's how it works, guys. That's how the conditional logic works. So I can change it to anything else also, right? Let's say I'm gonna change it to brown, and right now it's not green, so it's not gonna print this. It's not yellow, so it's not gonna print this as well. So it's anything other than green and yellow, other than, so it's gonna print the stop. So if I can say this, I'm gonna run it, it says stop. So just watch this. If I say orange, it's still gonna print stop, right? So basically what we are doing is we're just concerned about two things. If the value is green, print go. If it's yellow, print prepare to stop. If it's red or anything else, right, just say stop. So that's how the conditional logic works, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. That's what I wanted to show you. Pretty sweet small example that we pretty much do it on in our everyday lives as well. So the file will be there, so just download it, refer it, and as always, practice a lot. And if you have any questions, just come back to me with your questions and I'll be more than happy to help. So stay tuned for the next lectures, guys. Thanks for attending this one. Thanks.